called him a communist the entire time he was the president. What do you think about that?
I mean, it just makes you think, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, the way I see wealth is like, with great wealth comes great responsibility. That's kind of why I kind of see that distribution, but like, I don't know, it just makes you think, because you would think that, voting in a Democrat and that had these ideas of distributing wealth, like, some people might even argue like B or A was it, but I think most people don't look into the details and they're like, oh, Democrat, so you must have this certain ideal, and obviously, I guess things didn't pan out the way things wanted to.
Yeah, exactly, bro. You're Democrats, so you must have that. Remember what I said the other day about this idea that we have where Democrats and Republicans are actually pretty much the same, and most of us think the same, and most of us have the same ideas. But if we watch the people who are really dividing us, like really, really dividing us, it's in their interest to divide us, because if they divide us, then they can just come in and take all the income gains, 95%, right? If they can get you watching Fox News or MSNBC or whatever the case is and fight with each other and think Obama's a communist, dude, seems like a communist to me. If under his administration, 95% of all of the created wealth is going to the top 1%, what's that? Yeah, dude, exactly, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, wait, what do you mean? Yeah. Dude, totally, dude. Yeah, no, listen. Wait.
You must not like Obama.
No, wait, hang on. Wait.
Can't wait to say that.
Wait, hang on. You're agreeing with me, right, bro? Dude. No, I'm being facetious.
Let's get it.
Bro, no, I'm making a joke. I think you're missing that I'm making a joke. Wait, hang on. No, hang on. No, but just know that I'm making a joke, bro. Wait.
Now.
Yeah. Wait. Oh, dude. Here, hang on. Let me see it again. Dude, try that. Yeah, just talk right into it. Hey, Jeff, can you give me one of their mics? Hang on, bro. Jeff, hang on.
You can't silence the left. I'm clearly on the right.
Oh, you're on the right?
I like to think of myself as a moderator.
All right. Dude, are we like...
Checked.
Turn that one off.
Hello?
All right, go ahead.
Clarification on your
right.
joke real quick, if you don't
All right.
mind. So basically you were saying that Fox was calling Obama a communist, and ideally under a communist rule, the wealth would have went in the opposite direction. For example, you would have saw one of the options, A or B, become the redistribution of wealth instead of 65% growth. Is that correct?
The new wealth that would
Okay,
be
now I'm going to
created.
continue that point real quick. So we're going to look
No, hang on. I want to be clear. It's right. So if somebody, a communist orientation is to say, put more of the wealth and means of production and so
Redistribute
on,
it, more uniform distribution?
Redistribute it more. So if
what happened in Marxism when you actually, not what was the ideal, what actually happened when you take power away from the individual in a society? For example, you look at China right now, you look at Marxist Russia, you look at Venezuela. What happens every single time to wealth distribution? It goes to the 1%. And then once what happens is the distribution you were referring to up there earlier is called a Pareto distribution. And what that is that saying that there's like about 20% of the people have 80% of the wealth. And of course you can scale that, redistribute it, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But what happens under communist rule is...
Yo, dogs. What's your name, bro?
I'm Paul.
Paul's All right, listen, hang on a sec. Dudes, hang on. Dudes. Paul, dude, you're being immensely clear and concise. So, God, dude, we got to fix the microphones. We're being immensely clear and concise. So keep going. Let me just. Fuck, man. All right, here, hang on. No, hang on. Yeah, come down here.
Check. Awesome. All right, so basically what happens is the Pareto distribution, might be everyone. The Pareto distribution is when you have about 20% of the people holding 80% of the wealth. And
No, here, hang on.
Yo, Nolan. Thank you.
Now just hold it, dude.
Oh,
You're all right.
So I don't want to spit into it. That kept happening. It was bad. So what happens is you have 20% of the
No,
population.
hold it, hold it. It's better if it's closer to your mouth.
The Pareto distribution basically states that you have 20% of the population holding 80% of the wealth. You can scale it either way, multiplying it, making maybe 10% hold 10% of the population holding 80% of the wealth. But what happens when you put a more totalitarian state in, and we have examples of this. There are statistics you can create confidence
Dude,
intervals.
don't get too
Okay,
detailed.
You're right.
All right.
Basically what happens is the wealth becomes extremely unequal, and society, because of that inequality, becomes unstable. We want the same thing. We want stability in a society. But when you go and you start putting in more regulations and trying to make wealth more equal by redistributing it, what you find is extremely successful and smart people are able to find loopholes in that rule, and that's
Yeah.
what happens. So when you regulate more, and i.e. Obama being more, I wouldn't call him communist as much as socialist, but that's, socialism is basically communism masked with democracy until you can take it away
Yeah.
from people. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I made my point, but
No, you
you
did
were
make your
saying
point. Okay, so here, let me be clear on one thing, right? First off, the differences in Obama's, hang on, listen up real fast. The difference in the policies over the 8 years, they're pretty small. And the differences even now with Trump, Obama, whatever, they're fairly small, okay? Really, in the larger sociological sense.
I agree with you from a social standpoint, but when you look at things like the Frank-Dodd Act, which everyone talks about the limitations it puts on big banks
Yeah.
loaning to each other, but really that has a huge trickle-down effect when you
Yeah.
go into the smaller banking system,
Yeah,
and then
okay.
the small businesses can't get loans, and that's what's constricting economic growth.
Okay, dude, you and I could go back and forth on
I
this.
don't think that would
forever.
happen. I think it would.
Wait, what are you saying?
I think that conversation would go a little.
Oh. All right, dude, here. Dude. Let me just say, Paul, right? Paul, let me say the following, okay? You understand that when I'm Okay, you're not in the class. Okay, that's even better. Look, here's the deal. Then the point is, you're not in the class, so you miss what I do in here, okay? No, hang on. No, hang on, dude. It's not one point. I'm having fun I'm pushing differences. No, dude, by the way, if all college students thought about the issues that we're talking about, like Paul's thinking about economic issues, I'd be really, really happy. Because clearly you're thinking about this stuff. Now, we could argue about details of all sorts of stuff like Dodd-Frank or whatever you want to do, right? We could go back and forth, and people have written books about it, and so therefore, people have written big books going completely different directions. So what I want to say to you is, when you know that people write, really smart people, not that they necessarily have PhDs, but they write big, thick books, which is mostly just mental masturbation, and they argue about it from very different perspectives, understand that it's probably something that I don't want to weigh in on as though it's black and white and ABCs. I do that in here because I'm playing with stuff, and I'm pushing people up against the wall to have to think about some stuff. In this particular case, people have this idea. My point here is you got all these Obama supporters that don't like, what's his name? Trump. Because they think Trump is is really, this horrible thing. He's giving all the money to the rich and he's doing all these horrible things, but Obama was better. No, Obama wasn't better. Obama was also a president of the wealthy in lots and lots of different ways. We have Republicans, Republicans. So listen, dude, no, you can't ask another question. I'm going to go with this, though. Understand, there are lots of tiny ways in which I could argue really well that Obama is not a president of the wealthy, but there are ways in which I could argue that Trump is a president of the poor. He's done many amazing things that down the road are going to help poor people out. So I can go one way or the other. It doesn't really matter. So, got it? Secondly, dude, do not ever, someone you don't know, just don't do that. Don't be an arrogant way like it's going to go over your head. No, that's fine. It's cool. I got it. You can get away with it because you are a thinker. But I do want to say the following to you, and this isn't to put you like, I'm not in any way, but I want to say something. I taught a class on the theory of Karl Marx and economic theory for 4 years. So I know Marxism. When I was a master's student, I studied communism in the Soviet Union. I studied the fall of it. I know exactly what happened. So just because I taught it doesn't mean anything. I teach this class and I don't know shit about anything I'm talking about. But just understand that there's I know you had adrenaline going, but I love. No, I wouldn't call it ignorantly rude, but I would call it just it's cool.
Could I say something?
Dude, the communist. Yeah. Go ahead, my friend.
Oh, I'm not going to fight him or anything. I just had this idea from before he started talking. I was going to say, manufacturing gets this, really bad rep. People think manufacturing jobs are leaving the United States and the U.S. manufactures nothing anymore. But in reality, we
That's
manufacture,
not really true, by the way,
we manufacture more than we did in the past. The difference is that there's technology that automates factories, and there's robots that put doors on cars, and they have replaced and displaced so many workers. In the past, when telephone routing technology replaced the telephone routing people, they were re-educated, so now we gotta get re-educated.
That's a communist idea, but we'll accept that. That's good. It's true at some level, but it's good. We're gonna move on because I'm going to intend to talk about economics today, right? But I will say, by the way, though, I want to come back to this. Y'all, my main point here is that most of us, most of the time, and myself included, that I know enough to know that I really very rarely weigh in on anything because I know how much I don't know. And so just like this, I lived through Obama. I watched this. I'm watching Trump. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And what I hear are people with lots of ideas about thinking we know what's going on, and we don't really. And so, okay. Dude, thanks, dog. Appreciate it. Thanks, man. Do you have anything you would add to that, by the way? No. We'll talk later. All right, so here. Next one. Dude, thanks, gentlemen. Next slide. So here's the deal. We have the issue of how do we have so much inequality? So going back here, how do we have so much inequality? What happens that so many people lose access to wealth? What happens? And because this is important with regard to race. How is it that certain groups of people get more access to wealth than other groups of people? So let's go here. Look at the U.S. So this is basically the GDP of the global economy. And look at the U.S. We're about a quarter. How do we get so wealthy? How do we get so powerful? Very complex answer to that question. You could study it your whole life and come up in lots of different places. But how do we get there? So here's one of the things that I want to talk about for a second. When I was a kid, we used to play this game called King of the Mountain. And this is really important for the world of race relations, as I'm going to try to demonstrate in a sense, right? King of the Mountain is this game that can I get, I don't know, can I get you four right here? Can the four of you just come up? So, imagine we're going to circle this thing. So imagine, when I was a kid, we used to play this game. There'd be a hill. And what you want to do, you start at the bottom of the hill, like all of us, like right here. Come here. We stand side by side. And we're going to race up the hill. And whoever gets to the top first is the king. And then everybody else has to come back down the hill. And then they got to go charge up the hill and try to knock the king off the hill. Okay, King of the Mountain. So it's this really physical game, and it's like, it's like an ongoing game of, I don't know, whatever. Okay, got it? So this is like a game of king. Here's how it works, basically. So come over here. In reality, it could be fair, but it's never fair, because when you charge up the hill, you're going to charge up the hill in different places. If it's exactly the same, then all you're doing is measuring the fitness and the speed of the people who are going up the hill. But mostly you're going up the hill from different places. So it would be like getting up on top of this. So here, circle around this, right? And imagine we're going to circle around this thing, all of us. Keep walking around it. And what we need to do is somehow a bell's going to ring, and then we're going to charge up on top of this thing. Okay? Yeah, we're going to fight our way up to the top, okay? And whoever gets to the top, they're the king. And then they can start making rules. And so now all of us are walking around here. So you got a couple things going on. We know what the game is. So you got two things happening. One is, who's the smartest? Meaning, who's looking for the fastest way up here? Because one of us is thinking about that. The other, some of you might just be thinking about what you're doing tonight or who knows what, but you're not thinking about it. So, so you're not very smart. You're not fit to get up there. Some of us might be stronger than others of us. Okay, got that. And some of us might just get really lucky. So there's a chair right here. So there's an advantage. So we're all walking around. If I'm over here when it's time to jump up the mountain, you got this? Then whoever's next to that chair is going to have the advantage. It's not going to be me. So we're going around. We're all thinking about how to get out. Some of us more than others. Some of us are smarter than others. So we're going to get to the top of this thing. Some of us are eyeing that chair. We're going like, hey, I got to use some resources. Some of us might have some resources on us that we brought to this game. And some of us might make it happen. And then the bell rings, and let's say I get up here first. And maybe I got up here. If you lean toward choice, toward thinking, toward freedom, toward individuals making the best decisions for themselves, then you're going to make the argument that you're going to see, Sam got to the top. He must be stronger. He's probably smarter. He's probably more intentional about what he's doing. There could be any number of things. If you lean toward chance, meaning there are factors and forces outside of our control, if you lean toward that, then you're going to start looking around, wait a minute, how did Sam get up there? Did he cheat? Did he go first? Did he use some sort of tool to get up there? Oh, he got lucky. He just happened to be by the chair when he got up. You're going to come up with a different explanation for it, right? But either case, I'm here. And now I get here first, I can start making rules. Because I got to the top. That's the nature of it. You get to the top, you start making rules. That's why people want to be bosses. You want to get up, you want to be in a place, and you want to make the rules, and you want to make decisions for other people. And the question is, how'd you get to be bosses? This is where we're at. This is what we're fighting about all the time. And so we're going to talk about race for a hot minute. But right now, I'm going to make decisions, and I'm going to say, okay, hang on a minute. I'm going to make decisions about you all. Because I'm here. First off, who else is going to be up here with me? What are they going to look like? How are they going to be? What kind of people? Are they going to be people of my religion? People of my ethnicity? People of my family? People of my tribes? People of my community? Like, who's it going to be? Random people? I'm the king. I control the resources. Who am I going to share the resources with? People on a continent on the other side of the world? People in my continent? Just people in my community? Who is it? People in my lineage? Who am I going to share the resources with? What's my ideology? Do I have this ideology that says, hey, it's really good if I share them equally amongst everybody? That's really cool until I realize what that means for me. And then it's probably going to say, okay, hang on, I'm going to share the resources equally with everybody. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold some on my own. I'm going to do what I need to do, or I'm going to help my family first, or I'm going to help my people first, or I'm going to do something else. Because it's really hard to have that orientation of communitarianism toward other people. Okay, got it? That is social life, my friends. That is social life. You get in a position to make decisions. How do you make those decisions and why? So here, okay. In this particular case, I might let you, if I'm going to follow patterns in the world, I'm probably going to, what's your name again, bro? What? Oh, yeah, Tremaine. Oh, dude, Tremaine. Exactly, dude. I'm probably going to, Tremaine, maybe it's going to work out since that Tremaine's going to come up here with me because he's my guy. And he's connected to my community, he's connected to my family, he's connected to whatever. It's more likely than it would be, what's your name? Deja. Then it would be Deja. Deja's somewhere else. Right? You got that. You see? Okay? So we can say, all right, that's cool. That's fine. But it's also creates a very intensely complicated system of unfairness according to what Americans like to think is happening in the world. Okay, thanks, y'all. Yeah, man, I appreciate it. So listen, here's my thing. You got this? What we're doing is explaining how it is that some people did not get to the top. That's why we're fighting in the world of race and ethnic relations. We're fighting about who didn't get to the top. And people are fighting about the fact that it's not fair, that they experience unfairness. And that climbing the ladder of mobility, nobody would be arguing if it was really fair. We wouldn't have any race issues. If everybody really, you think about like when slavery was over, if we'd have said, all right, man, listen, seriously, we're going to do this 40 acres and a mule thing, and what we're going to do is we're going to take ex-slaves, and we're going to really make sure they have resources, and they have the opportunity to really now compete with everybody else. We wouldn't be in this place today. If it was Native Americans, we wouldn't be in this place today. So here, but look at what we have here. So we're dealing with this. And remember, Native Americans over here. So now, this is from Wounded Knee. So Native, dude, is it surprising? Here, can we go back? Native American, my bad. Native Americans down here. By far the poorest ancestry group in the United States. By far. Okay? By far. Not a question. So here, just a photo of a massacre from Wounded Knee. Is it surprising? Really? We can look at Native Americans today. We could look at alcoholism. We can look at addiction. We can look at violence. We look at all sorts of social ills that Native Americans are experiencing. We could look at poverty, intense poverty, and we can look at it from up here, and we can say, hey, what's wrong with you all? Like, why don't you get your act together? Like, how is that? Why don't you make it happen? And we can look at it from another perspective. And we can say, well, this is the longest genocide, most extensive genocide in human history. Hey, Paul, make sure you listen to this, dude, because this is actually really cool. So, the point I'm making here. And so listen, you can say it's their fault. They could do something. But if we don't look at history, and we don't look at how things happen, then we don't put things together. So here we have, in the Americas, the longest, most extensive genocide in human history, and we have Native Americans, the poorest group. Is there a connection there? Like, what would happen if we were to change things? Again, look, here's, we talk about no Chinese need apply. The history of Asians and Chinese in particular in the United States for most of our history, right up until the 1980s, was a history of really intense discrimination and a lot of poverty. Look, you got to look at it. Here, slavery and Jim Crow. What would have happened, y'all? Hang on, we're going to come back here. Do you think this would be there, that those numbers would be there like that? Again, as I just asked, if after slavery, the institution of government had said, hey, you know what we're going to do? We got a whole population of people here. They own nothing. Although, many blacks were free. So it's different, right? There were some black slaveholders, but the vast majority not. So we got this huge population of people here who don't have resources. They have skills because they farm, they do all sorts of things. So they have skills, but they don't have resources. And now suddenly they're free, meaning they're not connected or shackled or connected, or tied to land in some way, or tied to doing labor for somebody else for free. And so what can happen is we can take this large population of people, we could do a couple things. We could give them basic resources that would allow them to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and move forward on their own. Or, at the very least, even if we didn't give them resources, what we could do is simply get out of the way and don't discriminate against them and allow them to go as far as they want to go. But what we see here is a system of a centuries-old, deeply embedded discrimination that was set in place to divide and conquer. And look, who's, listen, man. Anyone been to North Philly? Who lives in Philly? Dude, you live in Philly? Who else lives in Philly? Dude, you live in Philly? Yeah? Philly? North Philly? Do you know North Philly? So North Philly's really poor. Yeah? Do you know how North Philly got poor? Anyone know how North Philly got poor? Anyone have the story of North Philly? Anyone know? For those of you who aren't from Philly, North Philly's really poor, really black, and really violent. Really poor. Not surprised? Dude, anyone know how North Philly got poor? Do you have a good idea? How long could you talk about it?
I mean, I could start if I'm wrong, stop me. But North Philly was like a red line district.
Yeah.
So there was just like the general shitty areas, and that's where big roads went through. Generally low value.
Okay. All right.
The only places they were allowing black people to move to.
Oh, wait, hang on a sec. Hang on. Go ahead.
You want me to start from the beginning?
Yeah, just start from the top. Hold the mic close, though, dude.
So North Philly was like a red line district. That meant it was the absolute shittiest quality of all the city. And when it came to getting loans and stuff, people giving out loans, banks would only give black people loans to go into the red line districts. And that would result in them moving to the shittiest neighborhoods with absolutely no resources. So while other places growing and stuff, they just are literally in the pits.
Mm-hmm. If people even got loans.
If you got loans.
And it starts to get more complicated, right? And here's the deal, right? If you don't, dude, not bad, by the way. I mean, that's the 1 minute version of the least. Here's the deal. One of the things that makes teaching a race class so difficult, I can put stuff up like this. I can ask people about, just what makes race relations really difficult is because we have things like this, and then we have experiences like downtown Cleveland, downtown Baltimore, Savannah, Georgia, North Philly. South Side Pittsburgh, wherever you want to go. And if you don't have the story behind how things happen, how we got here, what the history is, you can't understand any of this, and you can't understand this. You can't know if you don't have the story. And most people will never, ever get the story. And so most people, if you're going to be on top right here, and you're down here, let's say, or you're wealthy and you're black, or you're wealthy and Latino or Asian, or whatever the case is, but you don't have access to it. If you're here, and if you're only here, dude, listen, man. You're like, the three of you are black. You want to listen to what I'm saying, man. You know what I mean? Fuck. Listen. If you're only here and you don't ever take a look at the history, you don't look at it from a perspective here or down here or wherever it might be, but you're only going to look at it from here, from the top of the mountain, we're never going to understand. And that's what we're fighting about. If you really do understand, look, here, let me give you another one. That. How many of you could even begin to tell, how many of us could tell a story about how the U.S. got so wealthy? Looking at lots of different things and understanding the nature of the conflicts that have gone on over time. How many of us could really understand? So what we do is, we're up here, and we think we know, and then we make the kinds of justifications that we need to make to explain how it is and why it is that we get to a place to be on top. So one of the things that I see all the time is folks here, in particular, and wealthy people who are down here as well, at the higher end, but here, really not understanding the perspective from a different place. And if you don't get that, then you never know. And then we just we're at odds, thinking that, for example, the people, when my family, my people have climbed the ladder up here, and I've gotten this far, and this is where I am, I can only see what I can see. And so I imagine that anybody down there could have been here. But listen, nobody's in this class whose families are from reservations, Native American reservations. Nobody's in here. There are very few people in this class who grew up, there are people from Philly, but very few people from North Philly are going to be in this class. And there's a reason for that. And now I can be up here and imagine, oh, the reason is because they just didn't work as hard as I did. Or their family didn't work as hard as my family did. Or something went on, but somehow it's their fault and it's not my fault. But the issue is, look, man, if you're down here, you see something else. And there's a different explanation. And a lot of times, black and brown and poor white Americans are trying to explain some things from this perspective, but people who are up there, or in this case, people who are up here, maybe don't really want to understand. Because if you do understand, it would mean that maybe I really didn't get here on my own, and maybe the system isn't entirely fair. Maybe Barack Obama really isn't the president of the left-wing liberals. Maybe Barack Obama really was the president of the corporations. And really, maybe the whole system is slanted in a certain way that, yeah, man, Ryan, yeah, it's cool, you got your job and you're going to be fine and you're going to make it, right? But the people, while you're making it and you're doing what you're doing, people in North Philly are still struggling in North Philly. And maybe it's no more their responsibility than you making it is your responsibility. That sounds like that sounds like a really socialist thing to say. It's just a thought experiment, though. You see that? Like, if you're up here, maybe you really did no more to get here than people who are down here did to get there. And maybe it's just as hard for you to step off of this as it is for them to get up there. You see that? Dude, it's so humbling. It's so humbling. And it doesn't mean that people up there don't work, because come on, man. I'm up there now, and I put in 16-hour days. And there are people in here who really came from very little and worked really hard, and you have parents and all sorts of things. That's cool. It doesn't negate all that. What we're looking at is these large groups of people, and the only way for these people to increase their wealth up level to these people is for these people to lose the wealth. Or not to gain as fast as they think that they should gain. Because in the end, even if it's not a zero-sum game, the only way for these folks and Native Americans, if they increase their wealth, first off, even if they increase it at the same rate as these people are going to be up here and these people here. And the cost of living will have increased so much that it will be completely irrelevant. You get it? So it's like everybody who's up here, man, what we're doing is we're hanging on. I'm passing rules all the time. I'm supporting systems that allow me to stay right here. So what makes us think that, I don't know, people on top aren't doing that everywhere? Finding all sorts of ways to do that. You know what I mean? Like, what makes us think that? And if that is true, then what's it say for who we are and what we are? And what's it say for race relations? Dude, what are you thinking? Do you have a thought? Do you have a thought? Fuck. Dude, do you have a thought? Paul has a... See, here's the fucking thing. Paul has a thought. Dude. If Paul has a thought, and he's not even in this class, I'm not going to ask what your thought is, dude, because I'm going to force somebody else to have a thought. All right, bro? Who's got a thought?
This isn't as much as about like the wealth inequality as like it is. It's kind of backtracking to something you said before.
Yeah.
But how you keep saying like the political parties are essentially the same. Like I get it on a sense that like we all want like our families to be happy. We all want success for ourselves. Like on that fundamental level, I guess yeah we're the same. But like just looking for 5 seconds at a Facebook comment section, you can see that we are not the same. Like I'm not trying to like give into the tribalism and stuff, but there are definitely like a lot of differences, and it's like I don't know if it's like beneficial to say that we're all just exactly the same if there are a lot of differing groups.
Okay, listen. No, I'm not going to say we're exactly the same, and I'm not going to give into the tribalism, but here's what I'm going to give into. Ready? Forget about Facebook comments for a second.
Yeah,
think
they're definitely not the most credible.
Just think about like your life. How often do you see people arguing and really battling and fighting with each other not on Facebook? How often do you see that?
Probably not as often.
I don't ever see anybody. I wish I did. I wish somebody after class would grab Paul and be like, all right, man, now we're going to go have a beer and we're going to battle it out intellectually, right? I wish somebody would do that. No one does it. We agree on 99% of whatever it is. There are tiny little differences, right? And so like, okay, gay marriage, okay, that seems like a really big thing. And it is. It is a big thing. But in the scope of all of the issues and all the decisions, that's one of many, many, many. Building a wall, not building, in the scope of one, that's one of many, many, many. And human beings are very complex in the things that we support and don't support. And so it's just sort of like, it's like religion and dude, I like what you're saying. Here, but it's like with religion. I don't know if I want to say this. Yeah, but no, I'm not. I won't go into that. No. Hang on. Can you give me a second? I want to see if I want to say this. Yeah, I'm going to say it because I don't want to go into it too deep. This is my wife's idea. It was pretty cool, actually. And I said that all my ideas are my wife's idea. The vast majority of them are, so whatever. But she was saying this about this issue. Actually, hold on to it and I'll get... So, look, we were talking about people with really how people hold different points of view when it seems like it would really go against their own interest. Okay? And we were talking about, like Trump, for example. And this is kind of a good time. Like, so you know what's going on with the Supreme Court, and there are lots of people, and especially lots of women, who are, and just lots of people, not all women, but whatever, right? There are lots of people who are just looking at this case and looking at this guy, this judge, and they're saying, look, he's clearly guilty. They clearly know because somehow they know. And that the woman who's accusing him, the judge, of attempting to rape or assault her, she's clearly telling the truth, and so on and so forth. And so people come up with these really divided perspectives. And they're really divided. And then somebody else will say, how could you possibly in any way, shape, or form support Donald Trump? Look at this guy. He's a serial supporter of sexual assault. 16 women have accused him of somehow sexually assaulting him. Clearly, etc. What he said the other night and the way he just went after this woman, one thing after another, right? How could you possibly support her? Him. So you think anybody that supports Donald Trump just must be X or must be Y or just, oh my God, what kind of a person? And then we pulled out the Bible and we looked at the Old Testament and we started looking at stuff that God has done and supported. You know, like genociding communities, murder, rape, pillage, all the women and children. I command you to rape and murder all of the women in that village, right? You don't have to go very far. You can find it all over the Old Testament. And if it's true in the Old Testament, that's the same God as the Christian God. So then the question becomes this. I can go all over this book. And I have one right in the back room, and I could go get it, and I could just start picking out all sorts of things. And say, how could anybody ever worship a God that commanded his people, his loyal supporters, to rape all of the women and children and can kill all the children in a community? Because that's what it says. What kind of Christians are you? What kind of people are you? And that's one of many. We could go down. The Old Testament is brutal, you all, right? And Muslims, you don't get out of this. Because even though you have the Quran, still, the Old Testament is still the important. The Quran is just the most updated version. So, to you Christians, I ask, wow, that's a pretty tough God, my friends. That's a really tough God. You ever read the Old Testament? It's man, you gotta it's gut-wrenching. It is painful. Okay, so you ready? So now, those of you who are Christians and don't support Donald Trump, can you imagine that, yeah, I know these things I don't like about Donald Trump, and I get that, and I disagree with it, but there are other things that are really important that I really support. And so I'm just going to turn a blind eye to those, and I'm going to focus on these. Just like I'm Jewish or Christian or Muslim, and I'm going to turn a blind eye to this, but I'm going to focus on these. Dude. Dude, yo, hang on. You get it, right? Do you see that? So those of you who right now are just completely out of your minds over anybody supporting Donald Trump, especially if you're Christian, Jewish, or Muslim, well, now you know. It's not that difficult. Just focus on the things you want to focus on. That's what this class is. The whole class is that. We're pointing fingers at somebody else, and three are back at us, and we're trying to work it out, and we're trying to figure it out, and we're trying to figure out why those people do things, and what's wrong with those people in North Philly, and what's wrong with those people in Baltimore, and what's wrong with this, and what's wrong with that, and but we got to look at it from all the different directions. Dude, what do you think about that? Are you Christian?
No, I was, but not anymore.
Oh, you escaped?
Yeah.
You still are. Were you Catholic?
I went to Catholic school.
Dude,
and
the
No, I'm
Pope
not.
still claims you, dude.
No.
He
I
does.
deny him.
Well, he'll take you. Well, he doesn't like the drug helmet, but I'm sure you're all good.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
I'm
he
not.
wouldn't like a lot of things
All right.
about me.
What do you think about that?
I think that's a good perspective to have. I mean, I still absolutely despise Donald Trump, and yeah, people in this class might be
well.
about that, but whatever. But
Do you hear that, bro? Fuck. All right. Dude, but hang on. But let me ask you a question, right? If I said you have one job over the weekend, what's your name?
I'm Jordan.
Jordan? Jordan, here's your job over the weekend. You have to actually go seriously research the policies of the current administration. You really got to look at them. So I'm not talking about right-wing stuff. I'm talking about really thoughtful publications and so on, okay? People who are really smart, who support these policies. I'm not talking about the fact that, we're not going to give visas to domestic partners of LGBT diplomats. I mean, that's just oh my God, we're back in the dark ages. But nonetheless, right, that's my opinion, but whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about lots of policies. And your job over the weekend is to go study that and come up with 10 things that you're like, yeah, I got that. That makes it. 2 things. And if you came up with 2 things, you couldn't make the statement you just made, which was, I despise Donald Trump. You couldn't. Because you would see that, oh, wait, hang on. I don't like this guy, and I don't like this, but yeah, there's a couple policies here. You couldn't say that. And part of the place that we're in as human beings, and we're in the United States right now, is we're so divided because we're making statements about things that we haven't really thought about, and we haven't really worked on. We haven't worked into. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, bro, hang on. Thanks, dude. Dude, are you a Christian, by the way? You're what? Dude, you're Jewish, even more deep. So do you read? You read Torah, you read it all, right? The stories, man. How do you make sense of those stories? Your God is condoning, destroying villages. How do you make sense of that?
Personally, the way that I sort of view religion as a whole is I don't really believe any of the stories that go on because they seem sort of crazy. But anything that's
dude, hang on.
helps.
Hang on. I just want to interrupt you, really. Don't be lazy in your words. They're not sort of crazy. It's in black and white in your holy text. God, who created all of this, commanded his followers to destroy entire communities. No one shall be left alive. It's not sort of crazy to truly read that, to truly accept it, to truly have to say, that is the God I believe in. That's the holy text I believe in. It should throw you into a deep existential crisis that you have to say, oh my God, how am I going to deal with this? It's not just sort of crazy. Hey, by the way, I'm going to let you respond. Can I just say something to all the Christians, Jews, and Muslims here? I'm a believer, so I'm not an atheist who's coming at this. I'm making a point about religion, and you get the point I'm making here. So you got it? So do not, just like Jordan should not say, I despise Donald Trump, when he hasn't read all the cool things that he would agree with, that Donald Trump supports. Then, the same time, this is the same thing. All right, go ahead, bro. What's your name again?
I'm Will.
Will? All right,
You said go ahead, Will, then you said what's your name?
Oh, yeah, all right.
Okay.
Go ahead, Will.
So in this class, I've sort of noticed like a pattern of you say this and then you say that, then it all relates back to like wealth inequality and how people sort of build wealth in various ways.
Yeah, just the past couple of weeks, but yeah, go ahead.
So would you say that like, I don't know, it seems to me like a lot of socialization just has to do with like various distractions so that various groups can get ahead.
Yes.
And it's like everyone's talking about the Kavanaugh this, Kavanaugh that, and then the new tax bill is just passed, like while everyone's distracted. So is there a lot of like manipulation and stuff like that with various social things just to make wealth unequal?
And I don't think it's a conscious manipulation, like from the top. Like there are these puppet masters, like the deep state.
But like not conscious, just like how the world ends up working.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, maybe that's how it happens. That's how you can have 95% of the wealth under the 5 years of Obama going to the richest 1%, and 95% of it, and no one really. And the Obama supporters are still like rah rah rah. Barack Obama, he supports poor people. The Republicans suck. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that's how it happens, my friend. Hey, dude? Make sure you read your holy text though, in mind what I just said, and come up with an answer for it. You know what I mean? Does anyone want to add anything? Is anyone really pissed at me right now and they feel like they want to say something? Oh, dude, you want to give... Wait, are you pissed at me? You have a question? Dude, then we got to let the Muslims say the last word. Because you're gonna tell me the Quran isn't really... Okay, but that's all right. Go ahead.
Wait, this doesn't have to do with like religion specifically. It's about
go
what we
ahead.
were talking about earlier.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I don't know. I saw all the statistics about the inequality between races, like with wealth, and how like somehow it has a correlation of like the injustices that happen to them throughout history. And we also saw a statistic last lecture about how 50-something% of like white Americans believe that they're discriminated against, or like something that.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is that I just want to know like why they believe that when they see like statistics like that.
Why is what?
Why do they believe that they're discriminated against?
Because they experience, the world is telling them that look, there are lots of messages they're getting that other people are getting ahead, just like you. How often do you look at Facebook and all your friends are really happy and having a great time and life is great, and all they're doing is posting the best shots of themselves, you know what I mean? But they're not really that happy and life isn't really great for them. They spend 23 hours a day in bed in deep depression, but they managed to get out of bed long enough to take some really cool shot of themselves, right? So we look around and we think everybody else is rich and everybody else is doing great and everybody else is doing wonderful. So if you're not, and especially if you're white, because the world is telling you white people have all the privilege and white people have all the superiority, and so you're thinking like, shit, I don't have that, and I should be getting ahead, and it's not, and so therefore you're going to think, oh my God, something's wrong here, so there's a problem. And that, my friend, did you like that? Dude, does that make sense? All right, now. God. Chill, that was cool, by the way. All right, go ahead, bro. You have a mic?
Yeah.
Dude. Go ahead. Yo, wait, hang on. Yo, dog. Wait, we have one more. We got to let our Muslim brother say something. Go ahead, bro. Just hang on. Just stand where. Oh, dog. Dude, we're going to have to save it till later. All right, man. Have a safe weekend. Hey, dudes.